I'll tell you what, lads. Steve Cooper's post-match breakdown yesterday was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in the Premier League. First, he approached Forest fans immediately after the full-time whistle in order to apologize for the performance while they, as passionate and loyal as ever, were singing his name under the lights. Then, he told the press that he felt embarrassed by their support and was of the belief that he didn't deserve it, as those outwardly showing love were inwardly feeling the opposite way. Thereafter, he essentially took a bullet for his players by stating the following: "Criticism for me tonight will be absolutely fair, and I accept it. I take responsibility. It was on me, no doubt about that, and I've got to own up to it. I deserve all the criticism, I deserve the blame, it's on me. I want it to come to me before anybody else, and then I'll decide where that criticism goes when we review and deal with the players. Please don't be writing about anything else apart from me." While the cynic in me is aware that Cooper, at least to a certain extent, said some of those things in order to garner sympathy, there's no getting away from the fact that the relationship he has with the fanbase is incredibly unique in this day and age. In the Premier League, only Klopp, De Zerbi, Eddie Howe, and Thomas Frank can compare, with the likes of Ange Postecoglou and Unai Emery slowly but surely getting there too. The rest, broadly speaking, are doing their job in an almost purely professional capacity, and that's what makes this entire ordeal with Cooper so difficult to witness. Now, as I'm sure those of you watching are aware, Marinakis isn't one to shy away from pulling the trigger, and probably would have done so last season itself if it wasn't for Forest supporters' vocal backing of Cooper. This time around, I can't see him hesitating for too much longer. In fact, Marinakis was sat in the stands at Craven Cottage but left in an alleged fit of rage with 20 minutes remaining, with his pass found in a bush just outside the ground by a match scorer on Twitter. Frankly speaking, I can't blame the man for that reaction either. He spent close to 400 million quid on transfers alone, yet the club's progress has not only halted, but arguably regressed over the last couple of weeks. 4 defeats in a row will have any Premier League manager sweating over their job, and when the last of these sees you get hit for 5 by Fulham, who, with all due respect to them, aren't Manchester City, you're basically a dead man walking. Needless to say, Cooper's journey with Forest has been so glorious that you could quite literally make a movie about it, but ultimately, it's a results-based business, and 1 win in 11 is far from good enough. Clearly, he's become the victim of his own success, because if Forest were sat in and around a playoff spot in the championship right now, I highly doubt Marinakis would pull the plug, but that's just the nature of the sport. For what it's worth, I can't see Forest going down. Their squad is light years ahead of the likes of Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton Town, and even if there are murmurs of dressing room discontent, they should collectively have enough in the tank to beat the drop. The trouble with that, however, is Forest need to be aiming much higher now. While last season was all about retaining their Premier League status, particularly with the overhaul of players that took place, this one should ideally see them try and secure a top half finish. Look no further than Aston Villa or Brentford to see how quickly progress can be made in the top flight, and I'm fairly certain that's what Marinakis was expecting with the funds he made available. It's hard to believe that this is the same side that beat Chelsea and Villa earlier in the season, but I suppose that's what happens when you begin losing the faith of players. Don't get me wrong, some of them are an absolute disgrace to the badge. What that Muppet Kouyaté was doing giggling with Iwobi after such an embarrassing defeat, for instance, is anyone's guess. I mean, Christ, I'm ready to throw punches after losing a 5-a-side with my best mates, yet this fella couldn't give less of a fuck about having his pants pulled down in the most watched league on the planet. Murillo's probably the only one who comes out with any sort of credit from last night, and fair play to him for giving his all while those around him shat the bed. As for Cooper, his tactical rigidity and favoritism has been his undoing. Do let me know your own take down below, but the names being linked such as Lopetegui and Graham Potter are quite exciting in their own right. The former boasts a glittering CV and was smashing it at Wolves before deciding to leave on his own accord over broken promises, while the latter did brilliantly at Brighton before succumbing to the toxic mess that is Chelsea, where even a seasoned campaigner like Mauricio Pochettino looks lost. Change is difficult, but sometimes necessary, and while Cooper may get another game or two to turn things around, I do believe the end is nigh, and that's coming from someone who's done nothing but back him in every video on the topic I've ever made. Cheers, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Peace.